Hello, friends. Welcome to a time I don't normally stream at. I figured it would be fun to come on here and live stream me writing the end of my book. I know several other people have done this. Marta's done it. Probably other people in our community. I'm not really sure. I don't remember. Other people have done it. And I figured since I only have 3 chapters left, it would be fun to come on here and do them on live sprints. It is so hot, so if I seem a little bit like not super energetic, it's because I'm sweating to death, but it's fine. We've got a Crystal here. Hello. Aid and Ashley, welcome. Let me know what you guys are working on. And if you're writing or not, just vibing, it's all totally fine. I am, of course, working on my sapphic supernatural western book, affectionately called Cowboy Baby. And I have 3 chapters left. I've got a little, transition chapter where our characters figure out what they have to do. I have the big, climax chapter where everything comes to a head, and I feel like that's going to be quite long compared to the other 2 chapters, but it's fine. I'm very excited to write it. And then the 3rd chapter is chapter 24 in the book, but it's probably more like an epilogue than an actual chapter, and it's kind of just like wrapping things up. So that's where I'm at. Hello and welcome. Gotta love how YouTube doesn't actually start until after you start talking on the iPad. Ugh, that's so annoying. Katie Ann is here. Welcome. Thank you. And hello, Felicia. We've got so many friends here. I've also got 2 beverages. So I've got some nice Dr. Pepper. And when I don't want carbonation, I've got water. So I'm trying to stay hydrated and stay cool. I'm probably going to get a snack at some point, but I don't know when. At one of the sprints. I've tried to do the math on how long I'll be live, and the math just isn't mathing for a couple of reasons. Ooh, let me catch up with the comments first. Ashley says, I'm going to work on a bit of art and a bit of writing. Nice. Katie may outline more of the Dragon book. My temptation to play Stardew Valley is so high. Fair enough. Hello. Love a double bevy moment. Yes. The only thing I'm missing is, a hot beverage, but we're not doing that today. That would complete the trio, but we do not need to complete the trio right now. Wendy says, if I'm very lucky, I'll finish this version of my outline today. Ooh, exciting. Gonna do some world building. Good luck. So the math that I was doing is that I've been time tracking, working on writing for the past couple of weeks, ever since the Storyteller's Hearth. That is when I started my time tracking project. And so far, based on what I've found, I've been averaging 1,800 to 2,000 words an hour on this drafting. So, I have 3 chapters left. My chapters have been averaging about 1,300 words. 3 times 1,300 is 3,900, which is basically 4,000. So you would think that I would only need to do 2 one-hour sprints, or something that adds up to 2 hours in order to get the 4,000 words. Except, I haven't been sprinting when on my own in, the normal sense. What I've been doing is I've got my stopwatch on my phone, which has 1 minute and 44 on here because I did write a paragraph before the stream started because I was just sitting here doing nothing. And it usually around the 5 to 15 minute mark, somewhere in there, is when I start to feel a little bit distracted. So what I do is I start the stopwatch, I write. When I start to feel distracted, I pause it, do something else for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, come back, start the stopwatch again, and then keep going. So I pull up a timer. I'm not going to be writing for that entire time. So even if I do 2 hours worth of sprints, I'm not really doing 2 hours worth of writing. So I don't know how many sprints we're going to be doing today. We're going to find out, but we're going to keep going until I finish this book. Yes, beverage goblin goodness. Thoughts and prayers to gaze for the world building. You do need a carbonated beverage. And hello, Stieg, welcome. Working on my list of top 10 favorite type of guy. Ooh, I'm excited to hear what the results are when that's done. I hope it's not too bad. Parentheses worried. Me about everything that I do. So the timer that I have pulled up is, of course, the Cowboy Canyon timer from Jess over at the Hexed Hourglass, because this is the best timer. I don't know how long you guys want to go. If you've got suggestions or requests, let me know, and we can always make it shorter. But I am going to take a sip of my soda, so give me a second. I can't believe you guys just had to witness me struggling to put the cap back on my soda. That was embarrassing. I'm glad I was the little small person in the corner. Thank you. I may have published multiple books, but I still think that your stories are the most amazing thing that I have ever read, and you are fantastic, and I aspire to be you. We got a yeehaw. Thank you. For those of you who don't know, Stieg is the reason why this book even exists, because he has been working on Black Smoke Rising. Is that what it's called? Which is gay cowboys who hunt demons? Question mark. My gay ass heard that and was just like, "Oh, I want to do something like that." And mine is slightly different. They're not really cowboys. They're also not gay men. It's sapphic. So it's two ladies. One is a retired rodeo star turned saloon owner, and the other is a sharpshooter working for a Wild West show. And they also don't hunt demons, but there are some dark things afoot. So it's like a kindred spirit to Stieg's story, I think. At least as far as I know. I haven't read Stieg's story, so I can't say for certain, but his was the inspiration. Katie says 45 or 30. We can do that. Those sound like reasonable numbers. I have a dream and a scene. Thank you. That's just about the summary, yes. I love gays in the Wild West, as we do, as we all do, or should. My mentor character is also a retired rodeo star. That's really fun. I love that. Yes. So we are about 10 minutes in now, and I get very tired when I'm the only one talking, so I think that's a little bit of like that's a good amount of time to chat. I'm going to pull up time. We'll do 35 because that's the one I went to, and Katie said 45:30. This is between that, so I'm going to press play and see you guys on the other side of these 35 minutes. And that was the end of our first sprint. Let me know how y'all did. I saw we had Marta come by. Hello. Unless you think you're going to finish the book within the next hour, I doubt I'll be here for the ending, but so happy I get to watch for some of the journey. Yeah, probably not within the next hour, especially because this comment was 20 minutes ago. But I'm glad that you can stop by for a little bit. And we also had Haley join us. Well, welcome. During that sprint, I wrote the entirety of chapter 22. So now I only have 2 more chapters to go. Chapter 22 was, if I check my word count, 1,244 words, and I wrote for, if I pull up my timer, 31 minutes and 48 seconds of that 35-minute sprint. I did pause the timer to check social media because I got a notification, and I also had to Google if 2 people could fit on one saddle, and the answer is no. For anyone out there wondering, but that is what I did for the sprint. Crystal says I started dozing off and realized I need a pain pill, but I'm too lazy to get said pain pill. Crystal, you'll feel a lot better if you get that. My little Wi-Fi thing says connection unstable, but I'm plugged into the Ethernet, so hopefully everything's fine. Y'all will let me know if things start to get messed up, right? Excitement. Marta says went back to watch the start of the stream, did a couple of admin-y bits, trying to work out the motivation to work out since I've just gone from 20k steps a day to sitting at my desk all day. That's fair. I just read a chapter and a half of the Bone Season. There's a readathon going for the series. July 16th through the 23rd is chapters 1 through 7. That's like too structured for a readathon for me. Like, down to the chapter, like, no, tell me what month I'm supposed to read a book and I'll do it. But, like, specific days you have to read specific number of chapters, I could never do that. Also, I've never read the Bone Season, but it is something that I want to check out soon, especially since she recently, probably like within the past 2 years, like re-released a revised edition. I think that's really cool, and I like that, so one day I'll check that out. I have read Pride of the Orange Tree by the same author. You can see it right above my head, and I loved that, so I think I would enjoy her other works. Got about halfway through figuring out this epiphany scene. Ooh. More excitement going on. Katie had lunch, and now I'm laying down. Nice. I refuse to believe 2 people can't fit on a saddle. They can make it work if they really want to. See, the thing is saddles are very structured and stiff. So if you had like 2 very thin people, and I don't mean thin as in like skinny, I mean thin as in like if this is their front and this is their back, they're like thin this way, maybe. But like with the way a saddle is structured, like, no. So I have one person sitting behind the saddle, which people who like do horse stuff for a living, according to what they said on the internet, say that's the most feasible thing. Don't sit in front of the saddle because then you have the pommel, is that what it's called? Up your butt, and that's going to be really uncomfortable. So one person sit behind the saddle and then one person in the saddle. So it's fine. It amounts to the same thing. I just wanted to get my little details correct. Okay, I'm glad it's looking fine. I don't know why my thing just said connection unstable. I'm like, I'm plugged into it. I should be fine. Oop, this is the one I meant to click on. Being so mentally stable by making this villain a failure in the eyes of his predecessors. He will never be what I wanted him to be, and now he's angry and alone. I wonder what he will do. Oh boy, so do I. It's just the perfect amount of structure for me because it's easy and I get to check it off. That makes sense. I can see that. I'm glad that it works for you. Thank you. 2 shallow people. Yeah, exactly. If one of them's sitting on the saddle and the other one was sitting on the other person, see, that wouldn't work because you're not like I'm sitting in a chair. Well, right now my legs are crisscrossed because I can't sit like a normal person. But normally, like, you're sitting in a chair, your legs are in front of you. But if you're sitting on a horse, your legs are out to the side. Like, there's not really a lap to be sat on if you're sitting in a saddle, if that makes sense. So I figured the answer to my question was going to be no. I just wanted to double check with people who actually deal with horses. What movies have shown two people in a saddle? I admittedly don't watch very many Westerns. No! That's very funny, but no, it's not what we're doing here. I have to use logic. I'm writing a book. I say as if books aren't full of non-logical things, but like something like this, I feel like you need to be logical about. It's not like a magic system where you can say this works because I says it does, you know? Says it does, say it does. Do I know English? I don't think I do at this point. But yeah, I feel like these tiny little details are the things that, like, if someone who knows horses and like saddles and stuff reads my book, they would read that scene and be like, that's not how that works. So, gotta get them right. I'll allow logic, but only if you let me read said book, of course. Marta, you're always number one on the list of people to be like, hey, I finished my book, do you want to read it? You know that. I forgot that they ride horses in fantasy movies. I'm so entrenched in the world of cowboys that I'm like, they can't possibly ride horses anywhere else. I'm doing great. Just gotta make two people saddles. That would be really funny. I wonder if that's a thing. Like, I'm sure you could probably make a saddle that's, like, long enough for two people to sit. But a standard saddle would not be big enough, because why would a standard saddle fit two people when usually only one person needs to sit in it? You know? I feel like I'm just going to be Googling things the next sprint, but it's fine. This is why I had a scene where the king gifts the witch a horse immediately in the book. He's so smitten, and it gets rid of the saddle sitting issue. That's fair. There are very specific reasons why there's only one horse. This is not an only one horse trope, though. I mean, like, it is, but it isn't. Like, this isn't a romantic scene, technically. They're on their way to rescue somebody, and the one character can't ride a horse by herself because of issues that you would understand if you read the book, but I don't want to spoil, even though I love spoiling everything. So, like, it is only one horse, but not because they're trying to be cute. Make a long horse? I could. It could be a Jacob horse. I don't know if you guys know what that is. I have to show you, though, because I really love it. Jacob is this guy who is part of this show called Drawfee, Drawfee, and it's a bunch of artists who draw stuff, and the one guy, Jacob, drew a horse. And it's just a very long horse. And they made a plushie of it. This is Jacob Horse, and I think about him all the time. This is very funny. This is like, hello, can you click? It's like a pin. That's really fun. I've never seen that before. But yeah, Jacob Horse. And now I gotta fix my tabs. Give me the only one horse book. I mean, if it was like bareback, then you could easily have two people on a horse. But it's also less stable because a saddle makes it harder for you to fall out. At least this way. You can still like slide off the side, but you could very easily have two people on a horse if you just don't have a saddle. I will give you that. Technically. Thank you. I know if anyone's got me, Aang's got me. Jacob Horse, yeah. So long, such a good boy. If y'all don't watch Drawfee, I highly recommend you do. Their videos are very good for, like, background noise, because they'll do, like, they do a couple of different types of videos, but for the most part, it's, like, showing one of them drawing something while everyone's just chatting, and it's like to a theme or challenge, and they're really dorky and silly and fun. But like I like to put them on and have that going while I'm doing something else, and then I'll just look when they're done with the drawing to see what they actually draw. And that's how I get through them, because they're usually 45 minutes to an hour, so a nice decently sized background video. And we have Laura. Hello, welcome. How are you feeling? I know you've been quite ill recently. I hope you are on the mend, because being ill is no fun. This reminds me of that post about how House of the Dragon has proper saddles, and Daenerys in Game of Thrones is riding those dragons bareback, gripping the dragon with her legs like she knows she won't fall off. Interesting. Yeah, that's a thing that I always think about with dragon riding, is like saddles and stuff. Like, I feel like if you were to ride a dragon without a saddle, you would tear up the inside of your thighs, because like riding a horse, which is relatively smooth, like you get chafing and stuff, but like dragons have scales, and that's gonna hurt. Katie, write this down for your dragon book if you haven't already, which I mean, you're usually on top of things, so you probably already have thought about dragon saddles. Yeah. It's interesting. The leg strength bareback dragon riders have. Crazy. The House of the Dragon saddles are freaking dope. I do not watch House of the Dragon for several reasons. One, it just doesn't interest me. I watched a little bit of Game of Thrones. I've watched, I think, 2 or 3 seasons, and it was like fine, but I wasn't like super invested, so I never finished it. House of the Dragon, though, I have a personal vendetta against, because this is going to sound very strange, but bear with me. I love Gothic literature. It's one of my favorite genres, and a common theme in Gothic literature is incest, because it can represent so many things. I once on Tumblr said, I think incest is an interesting thing to read about thematically. I wasn't out here saying that it was something that I was like really into. I said that it's a great way to explore certain themes, and that I think it's interesting to read for that reason. This person comes out here out of nowhere and like starts berating me for this on and on in my message box, being like, blah blah blah, that's so bad, like whatever. And I'm like, you didn't read my post, but okay. I go they like first messaged on Anon, and I like responded to it. And then they messaged again, and I guess they like didn't click Anon, like they forgot, or maybe they did on purpose, but I was able to go to their blog, and they watch House of the Dragon and actively ship people who are related. And I was like, that's a little weird, but their excuse was that they don't ship them as relatives, they ship them as just people. And I'm like, they're still relatives. So, hello? It was a wild time. Tumblr is hilarious. Oh goodness, there's so many comments now. I went on a little bit of a tangent there. Okay. Yes, this is also why I made my dragon book more modern, and they have pressure suits too, so they can go high in the sky, like altitude sickness, not as much air. That's very smart. Am I gonna have to have a dragon saddle for my dragon shit in book 5? Maybe. That's up to you, Crystal. You gotta think about it. I feel like you can get away with stuff that's not like you just gotta have an explanation for it. Like, if your dragons don't have saddles, why haven't dragon saddles been a thing? You know? As long as you can explain it, people will accept things. Thank you, Katie. The call is coming from inside the house. Right. It was so bizarre. Me. Oh god, I had a choking on my own spit there. Me when I'm in an intellectually bankrupt competition and a Tumblr user is my opponent. Yeah, I knew what you meant. The shape-shifting. Yeah. That was a fun little tangent. What do you guys say we start another sprint? I'm thinking of 45 for this one. This chapter, I have It's the same amount of words on the index card because I always fill up the whole index card, but I don't have the details figured out because it is the big climax scene and I'm like, this stuff happens. I don't exactly know how it happens, like the motions of the characters. So this is going to take me quite a bit more time than chapter 22 did. So that's fun. Might log off, but I'm so here for it. Thank you for coming. It's been fun. I'm glad you stopped by. This tangent did get me more awake and ready to work on my dragon book, so thanks for this. You are welcome. I'm sorry if I like got loud and anyone's using headphones because sometimes I'm very bad at like controlling my volume and I don't want anyone to be like blasted with my voice in their ears. Dragons are animals. Very true. If Marta comes back from the sprint and still hasn't worked out, please yell at me. I will gently reprimand you, and that's the best I can promise. I think I'm going to set the timer for 45 this time. Did I already say that? Maybe. Who knows? I'm going to pull it back up. Okay, I did not, in fact, hurt anyone's eardrums. We are going to start sprinting, and I will see you guys in 45 minutes. Marta, you better frickin' work out. Sorry. And that was the end of sprint number 2. Got so many buttons to press. Give me a second to figure out how many words I wrote. I did not write the whole chapter. Let me make sure I'm not muted. Correct. Okay, we're good. I wrote 1,477 words. And I'm now up to 1 hour and 11 minutes. Yeah, 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 44 seconds on the stopwatch. So, like I said, I did not finish chapter 23. I'm like, my character is counting down to something, and I've literally done the 3, the 2, and the very next paragraph is the one where, like, all hell breaks loose. And, like, that's where I'm stopping at for this sprint. So it's very high tension right now. But put my index card over there. We had Anna join us. Hello, welcome. And Keiko is here too. Crystal said, anyone feel like this has been a 2-hour sprint, or do I just need a nap? I did make sure it was at 1x speed. At least I did during the first sprint, and I don't see how it would have gotten to 2x speed on the second sprint when I literally just rewound it. So I think it's just you. I did also turn on the overhead light. I don't know if anyone can tell. I also have this tiny lamp. Does that light me up better? Does it matter? It's very bright. I kind of don't want that on. I'm just going to be a little bit shadowed. Malin is here making dinner. What you having? I hope it's good. Marta did a little stretching and yoga. I feel so much better for it. I'm glad I pushed myself to do that. Nice. I'm proud of you. Thank you, Marta. Malin says, I'm watching a commentary video about the commentary video D'Angelo. I don't know who that is. Made on the Cody Co stuff. I don't know who that is either. But I do love commentary videos, so I support. Always love a good all hell breaks loose. Yeah, well, it's the second to last chapter, / kind of the last chapter, because the last one might be an epilogue. I don't know if I'm going to call the last one a chapter or an epilogue. That's for later on in revisions, but yeah, we gotta have all hell break loose now so that it can be tied back up together. My nose is so itchy and I don't know why, so I apologize. After having already watched the D'Angelo video, I have issues. Sure. Crystal scrolled and messed around on my phone. I did also go on my phone a little bit because my friend Zach wanted to talk about Critical Role. So, a couple of minutes of that, but not much. Actually got up to take that pain pill, so achievement unlocked. Good job. As Marta says, progress. With 1 S. D'Angelo Wallace is one of the best commentary channels on YouTube. He does very long, very researched videos. The best kind. Cody Co was accused of something by Tana something. I don't know how to pronounce that. Everyone ignored it because she's unlikable and he's likable. Interesting. I don't know who any of these people are, but I'm glad. Well, I'm not glad this is happening, but I'm glad there are people now talking about this. We'll say that, because this is not the sort of thing that people shouldn't talk about. If that makes sense, I think y'all know what I'm saying. Yes, that was not sarcasm. Should have taken it like 3 hours ago. It's fine. You know, the best time to do something is 3 hours ago. The second best time to do something is right now. That's how that quote maybe goes, sort of. Keiko has a lot to say about Critical Role. Put all of your thoughts in the Discord Critical Role channel and spoiler warn it so that people don't have to actually read it if they don't want to. Marta's also been in Spain for 2 weeks. You can't blame me for forgetting English. You people have so many unnecessary letters. You're not allowed to say that with Malin in the chat, because Malin speaks French, and French has all the unnecessary letters, so don't you come for English. Also, the only reason English has a lot of unnecessary letters is because it borrows from other languages, I think. I truly don't know. English is 4 languages in a trench coat, if we're being honest. Shuffled around a bunch of things in the outline, trying to make sure it all works together. Yeah, been there. That's what I do. Like, I have my notebook that I won't get because it's currently at the bottom of a stack, and I just wrote down all my ideas. Then I took my index cards and wrote those ideas out, and then I was like, well, crap. Now I gotta figure out what order they go in, and that's always the hardest part for me. Ah, I jumped. Crystal says I might close my eyes and listen to the stream. Fair enough. At least we have some consistent rules, I think. Okay, I know that first one is Gloucestershire. That's not hard because a lot of the counties, I actually won't say a lot of the counties, but at least one county in New Jersey is called Gloucester. So, like, it's also not hard. Like, just that little bit in the middle, you just have to know, don't pronounce that bit. It's like Leicester Square. It's not that hard to remember. That second one, though, I don't actually know how that's pronounced. It was in a book that I just read that took place in London, and I was pronouncing it Marylebone in my head, and I'm like, there's no way this is correct, but that's what I'm calling it. So, I pronounced one of them for you. Checkmate. English is funny. I remember watching Vikings for the first time, and when they're in Wessex and meet Saxons for the first time, I understood every word the Saxons said. You have 4 different versions of the letter E. Come tell me how that's not unnecessary letters. Yes, 4. I feel like this is getting a bit tense. Yes, Gloucester. Marleybone. Okay. That's understandable. A little bit weird, but I can see why. They were talking in reconstructed Saxon. Interesting. I was talking to my same friend Zach yesterday about anime because I finally finished watching Bungo Stray Dogs season 2, and I talked about how loosely my rule is if the anime takes place in Japan, I watch it in Japanese and do subtitles, but if it doesn't take place in Japan, I watch it in English. Although Bungo Stray Dogs I watched in English, even though it takes place in Japan, because there are exceptions for, like, if I'm just feeling lazy and don't feel like reading my anime, I'll just watch it in English, and that's what happened with that. But I mentioned Vinland Saga, which is about Vikings, and how I started watching season 2 in Japanese when it first came out because the English dub wasn't out yet, and I couldn't do it. I'm like, they're Vikings, why would they be speaking Japanese? And he's like, well, technically they wouldn't be speaking English either. I'm like, okay, well, those are the only 2 languages I speak, so it's not like I know Old Norse or anything. But it was very funny. I wish I spoke Japanese. I feel like that would make watching anime so much easier. I have a fellow student who wants to write her bachelor thesis on Bungo Stray Dogs. Interesting. That's really cool. I liked the show. I mean, I watched 2 seasons of it, so obviously I like it, but I don't, like, love it. It's fun, but not my favorite, if that makes sense. But now I have the movie to watch next, and then there's 3 more seasons of the anime. And I will get to them eventually, but I think I'm going to watch something else. I think I'm going to watch Dungeon Meshi, because the last episode finally aired, so I can binge it all. So I think that's my next move. And then other stuff. I love when directors decide to get people to speak the original language. It's so much better. I mean, movies, not anime, obviously, yeah. They talk a lot in colloquial Japanese and a bunch of dialects as well. Yeah. I liked the English voice actors for Bungo. It was fun. When the main bad guy in season 1 started talking, and I was like, is that Keith Silverstein? And it was. And then in the second season, when they introduced a different bad guy, I'm like, is that Matthew Mercer? And it was. Like, the point where I'm starting to recognize so many voice actors. And, like, Dazai, he's not technically the main character of Bungo Stray Dogs, but he's, like, he should be the main character. Is voiced by Keiji Tang, and that's also the same guy who voices Gojo in Jujutsu Kaisen, so I'm like, I recognize him. But it's really fun getting to recognize people's voices. Normally they would have spoken Portuguese in Shogun, but they stuck to English mostly, so it's not too confusing for the viewer. Yeah, that's fair. I feel like there's a lot of things that you have to consider when you're writing a historical show, and you have to like figure out like the fine line between what's accurate and what's expected for the viewer, if that makes sense. Yes, Dazai Osamu. My teacher was roasting the guy yesterday for how he's introduced in the manga. I mean, if it's the same as in the anime, then yeah, I get it. Roast the man. He's kind of pathetic, but I love him. My favorite character is Lovecraft. For people who don't know, Bungo Stray Dogs is like a organized crime type of deal. You have like the main people who work for the armed detective agency, and then there's the Port Mafia, who are organized crime group, and they all have supernatural powers. And then in the second season, you're introduced to the Americans, who are part of the guild, and everyone is named after famous authors. So like all of the Japanese people are named after Japanese authors, the Americans are named after American authors. But one of the characters that's introduced in season 2 is named H.P. Lovecraft, and he's so funny. He's great. At the end of season 2, we get a sneak peek at what's coming in like the following seasons, and we're introduced to Dostoevsky. So we're getting the Russians coming in, and that's very intriguing. But I just think it's really fun to have everyone named after literature and their like authors, and then those authors' works are what inspire the characters' superpowers. So like the character Mark Twain, his superpower is called not Mark Twain. John Steinbeck. There is a Mark Twain, but John Steinbeck's superpower is called Grapes of Wrath, and he can like control plants. I just think that's really fun. One thing I don't like in German dubbing is that they very often dub the parts where the character spoke a completely different language as well. Like Daenerys speaking Dothraki or High Valyrian. Poor Emilia Clarke did an amazing job, and then the German voice actress is butchering it. No! I was hoping it'd have actual dogs. No, I don't remember there being a single dog. Sounds very fun, though. I might have a look. It's 25 volumes. I can't tell if that was informative or meant to tell me to think twice about starting it. Is it finished? Because I don't think the anime is finished. I think there's still more to adapt. But the manga might be finished. I don't know. This is not one of the things where I've read it before I watched it. Ooh, it is finished. Interesting. I might read it then, just to see how it ends. I'll have to see. I love me some finished work. This is what my fellow student said yesterday in her presentation. Interesting. As if I don't have a million other mangas that I want to read, and also animes that I want to watch. It's fine. Everything's fine. It might just be in Japanese. I don't know for sure. That's fair. The translation work on manga sometimes takes years to catch up, so I don't know. We'll see. If anything, I still have a lot of the anime left to watch, so there's that. We have been here for 2 hours. I am sweating so bad, so I want to finish this. I'm going to start the next sprint. We're going to do another 45, I think. That was a good time. Add that. Translating Japanese is not fun, speaking from experience. I have a little bit of chapter 23. I'm not sure if it's half or like maybe a third of chapter 23 left to write. I've already written 1,400 words in chapter 23. So I have somewhere between like 700 and 1,400 words left, I think, in that chapter. And then I have chapter 24, which is just like an epilogue type deal, so it's not nearly as long. I don't know how long it'll be, but We're getting there. I don't think it's going to be this sprint, but I won't say that definitely won't be. We'll have to see. We're just going to start heading to bed during the sprint. Thank you. Thank you for coming. It's been so lovely having you. I hope you have a good night's rest. Keiko says I haven't written in 2 days. That's because I'm hogging all of the drafting. I'm sorry, guys. I'll let the drafting brain cell loose after I finish this. That's why I want to get it done, because I want you guys to all have the brain cell. I'm very close. I'm almost done with it, I promise. I'm going to hit start now, and I'll see you guys in 45 minutes. Well, friends, that was the end of our third sprint. And as you can see by my banner, I finished my draft, which means it was the end of our last sprint. Oh, I'm so happy. I didn't think I was going to do it, but I had like 5 minutes left in the sprint. So, like, kind of just getting it in there. I'm glad I did a 45 because I was going to do a 35. But I'm like, no, let's give us the 45. And I needed that. So, I'm glad we did that. Thank you, friends. Crystal says, I dozed off and got so confused because I heard computer tappies. I thought you had your mic unmuted. Turns out Shannon's home. Fair enough. And Magreta is here. Hello. Yes, very important to drink water, even though mine is no longer cold. It will stay hydrated. Thank you, Malin. I appreciate the Your Jot approves. I accept. Yay, happy dancing. I have some statistics. First of all, who is texting me? Oh, it's my boyfriend. I have an hour and 47 minutes to do my writing today, which for the purposes of my time tracking, I'm just going to put down as an hour and 45 minutes because I'm not doing it by the minute, I'm doing it by the hour, and then I can just put 1.75 into my thing, but it like all averages out because sometimes it'll be like I was working for 41 minutes, but I put it in as 45 just for the ease of things. So it's fine that it's technically 2 extra minutes that it took me. This is a very funny typo, Crystal. Thank you. So yes, an hour and 47 total for the day. I wrote 1,607 words in that sprint, that third sprint we did, for a total of 4,328 today. Let me pull up the dog days tracker, actually, to see what my wordiest days were. This is definitely one of them. This is my second wordiest day since starting this draft on July 3rd. The only day I wrote more was on the 13th. So last Saturday, I wrote 5,706 words. So didn't do as good as then, but still a very wordy day. My draft... yeah, a very good typo. My draft is 33,539 words in its full thing, all 24 chapters, which gives an average of 1,398 words per chapter, which is pretty cool. Like I said, I started this on July 3rd, which was 15 days ago. It took me 15 days to do this draft, and over the time I drafted, like I was sitting down physically drafting for 16 hours and 45 minutes. So imagine if I could have done this, like if I was doing this as my full-time job and I did 8 hours a day, it would have taken me just over 2 days to do this, but I don't think I could have done 8 hours of this. But that also brings an average of 2,003 words per hour, which I feel like is a lot more than anything else I've ever drafted. I don't know. These words were kind of just flying out of me. Very, very fun stuff, though. I'm very proud of this draft. There's a bunch of stuff that I know I had in mind to include that I didn't really include in this draft, but it's fine. That's what revisions are for. I'm going to have other people look at it first and then see where things go. I don't know what I'm going to be working on in terms of writing after this because XCO is still out with people reading it. I don't have anything else to edit that's like waiting for me to work on. And I'm not going to be drafting something immediately, even though I do have stuff that's outlined, so I guess brainstorming. I guess it's just going to be plot bunnies until I get XCO back from some readers. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Thank you. No, I don't want to draft. Anything that involves coming up with words that somewhat sound good is not happening right now. Little rabbit. Let's see what's going on. Friday, I release a new book. I'm an idiot and left it on my shelf, but Jenny Was a Friend of Mine comes out in 2 days. There's a link in the description if you would like to pre-order it. That's just the ebook. There's no paperback pre-orders because Amazon doesn't do those. But if you want the paperback, you just have to wait 2 days to order it. And I will be here live on Friday at the same time this stream started, 2 p.m. Eastern. And I will be answering questions and maybe giving some statistics because, like I said, I know we all love statistics. And I also have a very fun surprise planned that you guys are going to want to be around for. So definitely show up if you can. I would greatly appreciate it. That's going to be very, very fun. Yeah, I know. 2 days. Crazy. And yes, I definitely will be reading and watching stuff because I do that all the time. I don't have a real job, so I just do whatever I want, really, and cry about it because I have too much time on my hands. But it's fine. Oh, Malin. But also, traveling is fun, so I'm glad. You can definitely watch the replay. New book, new book, new book. Yes. I really wish I could get it from my shelf, but I am not getting up right now. Sunday, I'm pretty sure is D&D. And then I have my stream Sunday night. And then next Thursday, not tomorrow, a week from tomorrow, is Chaos Queens. So, got a whole lot. And that will be also on my channel. So, D&D is on the Blank Page Tavern. My Sunday stream is obviously on my channel. And Chaos Queens this month will be on my channel. So, lots of things happening. I hope you guys come stick around and hang out because it's all going to be so much fun. Thank you, Crystal, for understanding. I am sweating to death, so I'm going to first get rid of this banner because honestly, the little cowboys going by, they feel like they're mocking me. I just don't like that little face on them. They feel smug. But I'm going to hit the outro, and I will see you guys in 2 days for my book release stream. Thank you all for coming. Bye!